Tonight, Cuba's ambassador praises St. Lucia's resolve in the face of pressure from the mighty U.S. to cut ties and refuse Cuban aid. Political theater goes viral as that guy extols the benefits of guava and local bread in the house.
Guava jam is one of the best tasting things in St. Lucia.
And as same-sex marriage is about to be put to a referendum in Barbados, St. Lucia's LGBT community hopes that at the very least, it sparks conversation here in St. Lucia. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Wednesday, the 30th of September 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. A grateful Alejandro Simencas Marin, who is the Cuban ambassador to St. Lucia, is opening up about continuing to work closely with St. Lucia, despite the pressure being placed on the island by the United States to cut ties with the Latin American country. Marin says it is heartening to see the way St. Lucia continues to honor the friendship between the two nations, and it is for this reason that Cuba will continue to stretch out a helping hand to St. Lucia. Rochelle Gonzalez begins our reporting.
St. Lucia continues to enjoy the fruits of a strong friendship with Cuba, and according to Cuban ambassador to St. Lucia, Alejandro Simencas Marin, this will continue as the island has consistently supported the Latin nation despite pressure and interference from the United States. The U.S. and Cuba has had a tumultuous relationship for over 6 decades, and although the rift was on the road to being mended under the Barack Obama administration, this was seemingly undone when Donald Trump took office in 2016. The relationship has continued to deteriorate, and in the most recent action taken, the U.S. threatened to impose sanctions on nations receiving medical help from Cuba, claiming that they were engaged in human trafficking when nurses are forced to go to friendly nations to work. On Wednesday, Marin told Hot 7 that Cuba recognizes St. Lucia's loyalty and will continue to pay back in kind.
We are friends, and sometimes, and always, we said that even we are more than friends, we are brothers and sisters. So from that position, this is the work we are making here. This is this is on the base of the bilateral relationship between our countries. And this has been the cooperation between our countries in the last 30, 40, 50 years. And particularly when we enter the coronavirus scenario, and when St. Lucia asked for assistance in order to fight the coronavirus very quickly, Cuba organized a big medical brigade that arrived to St. Lucia in March 27.
The ambassador continued on to highlight the work of the medical teams in St. Lucia.
The medical brigade here in St. Lucia fighting the coronavirus is here working very hard together with the St. Lucians health specialists in all the health institutions in St. Lucia, in the Owen King Hospital, in the respiratory hospital, the Victoria Hospital, in the communities, which is very important work, in Dennery, in Beaufort, in Soufrière, in the quarantine center. So they are completely, they are now a part of the health St. Lucian system, working together in order to fight the coronavirus.
Marin said Cuba feels proud to be part of the fight that St. Lucia has put up against the coronavirus. The solidarity shown by St. Lucia, he said, shows that the island is not easily manipulated by other countries, and for that, Cuba is beyond grateful.
At the moment when the war requires solidarity, support, humanism, cooperation, the United States is trying to obstaculize this kind of Cuban medical international cooperation. They have launched a campaign in order to discredit the Cuban international medical cooperation based only on illegitimate arguments based only on political issues, on political manipulations, and based on lie. It's very sad that, for example, some days ago took place the 58th Council of the Pan American Health Organization of PAHO, and the United States tried to, in that meeting, they tried to politically to manipulate that organization in order to discredit the Cuban international cooperation. But once again, the voice of the countries, the Latin American and Caribbean countries, was raised, not only for Cuba, not against the United States. I think they rise for the truth, they rise for the cooperation, for the solidarity, for the unity and the collaboration between our countries.
Marin succeeds Jorge Francisco Soberon Luis. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The Tuesday 29th September sitting of Parliament was not without its fair share of light-hearted moments, for which some of the island's MPs have become notorious. Castries Southeast MP Guy Joseph ignited social media with his antics as he ridiculed the opposition following their criticisms of the Prime Minister's recent social media posts about his enjoyment of guavas and local bread. Jacques Wooding has more.
Castries Southeast MP Guy Joseph once again took social media by storm when a snippet of his presentation to the House of Assembly went viral. Joseph, with props on hand, challenged members of the opposition after criticisms were mounted regarding a Facebook post where the Prime Minister made a comparison between the American apple and the local guava fruit.
When you look at the things we produce from guava, guava jam is one of the best tasting things in St. Lucia. Not just for the local market. Now, Mr. Speaker, sometimes it's good to demonstrate. So let me show you. Mr. Speaker, these are from my guava trees in my yard. And the salad I ate this morning before I came to Parliament was made of guava. Unlike some people who say, I ain't in no guava.
Joseph was not done. The MP went on to address allegations that a photo posted to the Prime Minister's Facebook page was staged and impractical, as he is shown indulging in local bread from the Tommaso Bakery while dressed in a formal suit. Opposition leader Philip J. Pierre called it a bluff, questioning who eats bread in a suit and tie.
The Prime Minister has his coat and tie and going to buy hot bread. When you ever people going to buy hot bread with a suit? Bluff. I mean, seriously, there was a man going to buy hot bread with a suit.
According to Joseph, cheekily of course, this could have implications for the breakfast menu served at the Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, this morning when I came to the Parliament, I said to the persons in the Parliament, y'all will have to change the menu because some people will not eat bread in suits. And when I went there, there was local bread on the menu. So I assumed that no parliamentarian should be able to eat bread because all of us have suits today.
Joseph's antics provided some light-hearted moments for both sides of the political divide to share laughter amid the heated debates which took place on Tuesday, September 29th. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
The Public Relations Officer for the Bankers Association, who is also the country manager for Scotiabank, Gordon Julian, says the extension of the moratorium on loans by banks will be different to the first 6-month moratorium that was offered in response to COVID-19. He says whereas the first round was offered without much probing or vetting of applicants, this time around, a more stringent process will unfold.
The next round of moratorium that's going to be extended, there's expectation that the bank's going to be, it's going to be a more rigorous exercise.
There'll be scrutiny.
There'll be more scrutiny. So for example, persons would have to demonstrate that there was actually a loss of income and that kind of thing. There'll be more robust discussions between the banks and the individuals in determining the extent of the moratorium that's going to be granted.
The Bankers Association is appealing to customers to consider the implications of the moratoriums on their accounts. And it also encourages customers who apply for a moratorium to make smart and prudent decisions when it comes to any extra cash flow.
The most effective use of that cash flow, or are you just squandering it, right? Because it's really to provide liquidity support for the essential things, to put food on the table, to meet medical expenses that you couldn't, for businesses to continue to sustain your business and that type of thing. Really to put it into good use, so that at the end of the day, even if you deferred on your payments, you still made good, wise, sound decisions and good utilization of that additional liquidity that's going to help you in the long run.
The liquidity support from local banks by way of moratoria for the initial 6-month period has been estimated at $1.5 billion. Prime Minister Alan Shasney is doubling down on his support for the decision of the ECCB and the ECCU to extend the moratorium up to 12 months. He indicates that although interest rates are a concern for borrowers, this is a matter that borrowers should not lose sleep over. Rochelle Gonzalez has more.
The ECCB and the ECCU have announced plans to extend the moratorium to 12 months. This is a move which has been applauded by Prime Minister Alan Shasney. However, prior to the sitting of the House of Assembly on Tuesday morning, the Prime Minister was asked whether this is actually a good move for borrowers or not. Here's what he had to say.
I think giving the extension is a good thing. So it's recognition that we're still not out of the woods as yet. It's also a great deal of confidence in the direction of the economy, that the banks now can extend themselves further. The big change here is that instead of being a holistic approval, it is approval in principle, and it requires the individual consultation. So some of the issues that you're bringing up, the banks will negotiate with the lenders, the borrowers, to make that determination. But that's really beyond the capacity. But I'm very grateful to the banks and to the central bank who acted on behalf of the prime ministers of this region, the ministers of finance, in order to extend it for that period of time.
The main concern surrounding the moratorium is interest. Whilst the monthly payments are paused, the monthly interest continues to be added to the overall balance. Former banker turned Commerce Minister Bradley Felix stated that whilst interest is indeed an issue, it is a cost worth paying.
People welcome the moratorium. Of course, there's always going to be a cost for everything, but I do believe people welcome the moratorium because things have not normalized as yet. There's still quite a few people who are out of jobs and are waiting. So it is expected that they will want some sort of reprieve. And I think with the extension of the moratorium, I think it will be welcomed by a lot of people. As to whether the banks extend it across the board is something we have to wait and see, but it is something that people will very much appreciate.
Even if it means they having to pay more money to the banks?
That's how the system works. That's just how the system works, yeah.
For Hot 7 TV News, reporting from outside the House of Parliament, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, opposition MPs question the action of security personnel outside the House of Assembly on Tuesday. The planning minister outlines what he says are significant benefits from the development within the PMA. And Prime Minister Alan Shasney confused as to what the fuss is about with the 2-year COVID-19 bill. That and more after the break.